I realize I'm actually wearing two down vests.
Chris, you look gorgeous no matter what you wear. It's March 16th, 2013. We are on the Cynwyd Trail. This is Chris Leswing. He is the god of the trail. Go.
Morning, Brian.
Morning, Chris.
Thanks for bringing out the video. This is really good opportunity today on this nice snowy March work day to set something up for posterity to show people in the future how to maintain the trail. The trail is set up, of course, to be very simple and easy to maintain, but the Friends over the last year and going forward will be doing more perennial plantings and native landscaping plantings. And today, as part of our March work day, I wanted to show people and leave a record to show how easy it is to maintain these plantings. They're actually set up to look good throughout. Oh, yeah.
Hold on. You could go. It's good if we have people.
Yeah, come on in. Pop in.
Yeah. Please.
World, this is Steven the World. All right.
All right, Steven.
Yes.
Now I know why it is.
World, Woods.
Chris, give him a project in the back.
Okay, what I'm going to suggest you do. Underneath this bridge, where those signs are, you see some signs on your left down there. There's a park. There's a.
Is it open now?
Yeah. If not, we'll take a ride.
If not, there's a water fountain.
If not, there's a water fountain.
Or a creek. All right.
All right. That's good. This kind of
I'm glad we got it all
outside on the trail. Obviously, this is done before we've had all the composting toilets installed in the trail that we'll start to see in 2015 to 2017.
Composting toilets?
Certainly. I think that's something the Friends will certainly want to take on.
What's a composting toilet, Chris?
A composting toilet is a outside outhouse that people can use throughout the year, and instead of having a tank where everything goes into, or all the waste goes into, there's a system where the waste is uses natural systems to break down and doesn't have to be hauled away. It's a much more sustainable model. I think it's something we're hoping that the Friends will actually.
Is that something that's used on other trails?
We're not sure. We think it's kind of cutting edge. It's been used in other public spaces. And this is, as much as a trail is a public space, this is a hybrid public space. It's more than a trail. I mean, a lot of times trails are just a path of asphalt with some grass on the side of it. What we're trying to do is turn this into a sustainable landscape on the sides of the trail. We're actually working on the edges now. And as part of that, the Friends of the Cynwyd Heritage Trail have been working to establish higher quality landscapes at the trailheads. There are 4 trailheads currently. There's Cynwyd Station, there's the Ballard Cynwyd Park, there's Barmouth where we are now, and then there's Rock Hill Road and Belmont Avenue. Last spring, the Friends came out and planted a number of ornamental grasses, flowers such as asters, black-eyed Susans, coreopsis, all native perennials that attract wildlife. They attract the bees and the bugs that attract the birds. So it actually creates a cycle of life throughout the whole area, and they look great.
What are the hybrid toilets going to attract?
Trail users who sometimes when people are out here and you're using the trail, you want to be comfort. We like to call them comfort stations. So they're provided for the comfort of
not natural crap spots, or I'm just kidding.
No, there could be, and I think there's certainly people that would consider them such. But getting back to the landscaping and to the public landscape, what's really important with this is we don't want to make this a high maintenance garden. These are things that we understand that this is all done by volunteers and maintained by the Friends. So they were easy to plant, and what we've done is we planted things in mass that a lot of like with like. So if you look around, and maybe Brian, you could pan over here and we can just take a peek over here.
I think we could do that.
Why don't you come on over?
We're going to do a slow pan.
Do a slow pan. And those are areas that have been cut down that were previously behind me, but moving around the trail, you'll see that there's a lot of brown stalks that are here. Those are all the same type of plant material. So when they're massed together, they have a much better aesthetic quality to them, but also they're easier to maintain because it's like with like. So when one of our untrained volunteers that comes out to help us out, or somebody who's not quite familiar,
we have many of those.
What's simply a weed because it's not like the others. Now the grasses grow in. These were all very small. They were tiny little plugs that we planted last year because it was more cost effective to plant them as plugs. Well, they've grown in quite a lot. That was 1 year's growth. But in March, it's time to cut them back down. they grow up, and as part of their cycle, they grow, they flower, they look great, and then in the winter they stay up, and they give some real structure to the area even in the wintertime. But in March, we like to cut them back, and then we compost all of that, and then it allows the new growth to come up. And that's where I think we wanted to show that today, is how we maintain that.
Over time, do plantings like this help with the water management along the trail for stormwater?
That's an excellent point. They do. All of the trail, because of the slope, there's water constantly moving through this landscape. And what these plantings do, and they're all chosen for the right spot. We put plants that don't need a lot of water where it's dry. We put plants that actually can take a lot of water where it's naturally wet. And what these roots do is they slow down that water. There's a lot of subsurface water that's coming through the landscape. These plants actually help with their roots, and their roots go down very far. The grass behind me is a native switchgrass, and its roots can get to be 2 feet of each plant, and they're moving through the landscape. So they're taking that water that's coming through here, slowing it down, recharging it, and they're also filtering any of the pollutants, because a lot of the water that comes down here is coming off our suburban community around us. And as it goes through here, the suburban community has a lot of toxins, you know, because it's a lot of pesticides that are on people's lawns, a lot of herbicides that people put down, a lot of fertilizers, and also a lot of things that your car has. So your car drips a lot, and then when a storm hits, all that washes through here. Well, that all goes in, and these plants actually help to filter that, those pollutants, and to break it down further.
Are those pollutants substantial? I mean, are they?
They are.
They are.
Actually, okay. If you took all of the area around us, our suburban area, and you think about all the chem lawn and all the stuff that people put down, people apply that in the spring. So most of it washes off. Only very little can be used, because it's just the way that Home Depot has told you need to take care of your land. So people naturally, as a little bit's good, why not put more down? So they do, and that all washes off. And the consequence is, it actually poisons the streets. And it makes it so you can't have good life in our creeks. Well, if the water's cleaner, you'll get that real fish, and you'll get all those invertebrates growing up, and it'll be much healthier.
The area that's planted up by Cynwyd Park,
yes.
that offshoot area that's right before the creek, that wetland
yes.
that was created, I don't know exactly what you call it, does that serve the same purpose as these?
It does, on a larger scale.
On a larger scale.
That actually takes a lot of the water that's coming from behind people's homes along here, that's dumped out here from all throughout the region. This is a low point, and it takes that water and allows the water to sit for a little bit so it doesn't wash all at the same time. And the plantings that are in that basin also help to filter it. One of the things the Friends are working on this year is making those plantings a little more sustainable. When it was originally planted, it was planted as a naturalistic design. With that, it's very hard to maintain. The volunteers can't figure out what's there. So we're actually, over the next year or 2 years, going to be taking a lot of that and clustering the plants, much like we have them clustered here, so they're in big sweeping masses. And the masses, once again, are easier for volunteers to understand what's there, what's a weed, what's not a weed, and to make it look good.
Further down the trail is a basin.
Yes.
Now, that basin obviously doesn't have any plants in it, because I've seen it doesn't have any plants in it. Is there...
It's a fair assessment.
Is there plans to put plants in there, or is the basin set up to work right now as it's supposed to?
No, it works now, and it works.
That's a collection point for water as well.
It takes a volume of water and holds that water for a while. Okay. And if it's just doing that, that's one thing. And it's grass. Our goal is, as we get these other areas under control, to move down there, and as the Friends, to do a very similar treatment to what we have here down in those basins. What we're trying to do is, the trail being 2 miles, about 60 acres, how do you choose that? And we're trying to get some areas under control, and then have that maintainable, and then move down and start to work in a new area.
And of course, all the improvements that are being done to create a good water management is also offset by the fact that it looks nice.
And it looks great.
And it looks beautiful.
It's responsible.
More in the summertime.
Oh,
yeah.
Once it gets to be spring, and the idea is to start to continually add new plantings. Like in here, we have a series of flowering trees. Some of the trees that are behind me, we have sweet bay magnolias, which love it wet, and we also have some cherry dogwoods, cornus moss. Those cornus moss that we have here, about half a dozen of them, they will be blooming in the next 2 weeks. So one of the first things to bloom. So we have a very extended bloom time with our plantings. So the trees start early in spring before a lot of other things do. And then the perennials come up a little later in summer, but next year we'd like to get some more bulbs in. So we'll have a wealth of bulbs in here in the spring. So it starts some
Is that
of the first
those
things.
two trees starting to bloom? I see black
There's
pods
these,
on there or something.
These guys are the ones that have the bigger leaf. They'll come out a little later, but the other ones here, actually. And maybe you can bring when you're done with your tripod, we'll come over and look at the flowers are starting to open on these. For the next week, if we get a little warm snap, they'll open up.
Hey, let me see if I can. Well, I like the pods. What are those? Are those black leaves or are those? I can't see them.
They're actually winter interest. Those are last year's seed pods that are left over from the from last year's blooms.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get.
And I think I need to take a break because people are starting to stop. So
No problem. No problem.
But this is good. This is good.
This is good.